for the second year in a row. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul won with 31%. Texas Senator Ted Cruz came in second with 11. Ben Carson came in third at 9. Governor Christie came in at 8. Governor Walker came in at 7. Senator Santorum, former Senator Santorum at 7, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio at 6. That
was the outcome of the straw poll at CPAC. Rand Paul obviously hitting all the right chords with the young conservatives that dominated that CPAC gathering last weekend. But can the Republican Party appeal to the general electorate? We welcome you back to America's Forum. Howie Carr graciously staying with us. And John Bogman, it's good to have you here, too.
Always great to be here and great to be with two gentlemen like yourselves.
Well, thank you. And we would concur in that analysis.
Exactly. Yes, we would.
And another gentleman who is no stranger to controversy, joining us on the telephone right now, Republican strategist Ford O'Connell. Ford, it is great to have you here on America's Forum.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm a big fan of you, John, and J.D.
You know just what to say, Ford, but so that may cushion a couple of things. You have put out a book, really a playbook for Republicans entitled Hail Mary. And I just want you to give us, in your own words, what you believe the Republican Party or Republicans today, how they should regard Ronald Reagan. Could you do that for us?
Absolutely. Look, Ronald Reagan is my favorite president of the modern era. The problem for Republicans is that when they don't have a message, they don't have a forward-looking agenda, what they basically do is invoke Reagan's name. Reagan had the right playbook for winning elections, but invoking his name is not a solution for the future, and sometimes it becomes a crutch for basically articulating an agenda. And essentially, Republicans have a real problem with this. I even saw this again this year at CPAC. Unfortunately, it's a crutch for Republicans. They need to respect and revere Reagan, but they need to be looking forward.
All right, so Ford, who is the best at doing that with respecting and revering Reagan, but also presenting a different and maybe original outlook on...
Who can do that, who can put forth that positive narrative, who can project themselves as a problem solver and expand the tent of voters, because right now we've got a few great folks out there, but not one of them has yet to hit the right note, and hopefully in the next 2.5 years we can find them.
Ford, 5 of the 13 names on that CPAC straw poll were members of different minority groups. Are these the potential communicators of the future that literally put a new face on the Republican message?
Well, they certainly give me more hope than the dour twosome of John Boehner and Mitch McConnell. But at the presidential level, electing the next president is no longer a competency contest on issues, but a beauty pageant. And frankly, we certainly need some fresh faces out there to more broadly represent the Republican Party, particularly with the nation's continually changing demographics. I'd like to see more women out there because they are 52% of the population. But again, the biggest obstacle all of them are struggling with is basically the awful perception of the Republican brand nationally. And it's a party that's still stumbling to find that clear forward-looking message, particularly in this area where Americans are increasingly self-absorbed and have little interest in politics.
Well, Ford, as you mentioned this, and I appreciate the merits of your argument, but having been there, done that, it's a little tough when you have a national press corps with its thumb on the scales and predominantly sympathetic to the goals and priorities of the left. Let's face it, the D.C. press corps essentially is an Obama cheerleading squad by and large. Now, it's true, on every 10 stories, there may be that one story where the Republican narrative takes over, but it is very difficult to cut through that clutter, and those guys are always defining the terms of the debate. I want you to clarify something for me. Conservative, in your mind, does not mean extremist, does it?
No, it doesn't. It means somebody who basically follows the core principles of free enterprise, limited but efficient government, and personal responsibility, and that can come in many different forms, as we saw at CPAC. And as for the National Press Corps, how's that any different? We're always fighting with one arm behind our back. As such, we have to be better communicators, because if we're not, and because most people don't pay that close attention to politics until October, we always have to be better than the other candidate when we're running in a national race.
Now, Howie, in Massachusetts, occasionally a Republican wins elected office there. What do you think about what Ford is saying here and how the party can adapt to have more of an impact in places like Massachusetts?
Well, I think that the last one to win an election in Massachusetts was Scott Brown, and it was all on Obamacare, just like this guy Jolly last night on the west coast of Florida. I mean, I think Obamacare is just such a overwhelming issue this year. And you know, I just was when I was driving in here, I was listening to Rush say that, oh, the consultants say Republicans can't just have a negative anti-Obamacare platform this year, but I think it's really the overriding issue. I mean, now I think it's a brilliant idea if the Republicans can put together a mailing or an email list of all the people who've lost their insurance. I mean, this is just there was a great story in the New York Times last month. I don't know if you saw it. All these artists and opera singers and music teachers in New York. They said, we didn't think we were going to lose our insurance coverage. I mean, I think this is just a pivotal moment.
Well, to that point, and Ford, let's bring you back. We look back in history. The first time the Republicans got back in control of Congress in 1946, following the New Deal and World War II, it was a two-word slogan, had enough. And they campaigned exclusively against one-party rule, not offering a lot of different ideas. Now, it's true in '94, we had the contract with America. Is there a happy medium, Ford, that can be forward-thinking, but also taking into account the very real problems with Obamacare?
Well, absolutely. Look, I don't think you should abandon the slam Obamacare all the time strategy heading into 2014. And to Howie's point, it really comes down to, look, you basically, if you're going to make gains no matter what, okay? The only place we could possibly lose a few seats is in the governor's races. You're going to make gains. The question is, can you maximize those electoral gains? Can you get beyond 4 to 6 Senate seats? Can you grab 7 or 8? And the way to do that is to basically put forth an agenda that makes Americans believe that Republicans are ready to govern from day one. I'm not saying you got to get bogged down in minutia. I'm not saying you got to put out learned treatise, but you have to convince the electorate that you're ready to govern from day one. And if you do, you're going to be able to maximize those electoral gains.
Ford, we've heard a lot of promises from the GOP about an alternative plan to Obamacare, and following up on what Howie said, do you think the better strategy is to kind of just let the Democrats take the heat for the failures of Obamacare, or do they actually need to present their own plan as an alternative because they do get criticized for being the party of no?
I do, exactly. I do think they need to put forth an outline for that plan. They do not need to get bogged down in the minutia, because we know the liberal media will use that as fodder against the Republicans. It's a double-edged sword. At the same time, though, I do think you have to go forward and say, put us into office and we're going to fix this mess at the end of the day, because that's going to be the winning message.
Ford OConnell, we thank you. We look forward to talking to you again as midterm elections approach. It's great to have you here on America's Forum.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm a big fan.
Great. You said the right word. You can tell this guy's in politics, and I agree with that assessment. Howie, it's great to have you in here, and great to have Ford, and we also want to hear from you. Here's how you can get involved with us in terms of social media. You can tweet us your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum. You can visit us at Facebook.com/Newsmax, and you can email us. Our address is connect@newsmaxtv.com.